Welcome back to the Law of Attraction Epilogue series, episode 6. In our previous episode, we talked about the power of imagination and the importance of having the correct perceptions about who we are and what we're trying to manifest. In this video, we're going to discuss the meat and bones of true manifestation by talking about the art of visualization. Now, it's no secret to anyone who's been studying Law of Attraction for any amount of time that in order to manifest what we desire, we have to be able to see it first. In my experience, this is where most people get hung up, because they might be able to visualize something they want, but the moment they do, the ego begins to creep in and cause them to start doubting what they're desiring. Oh, you really think you can have that? Come on, let's not get too crazy now. Why don't we just settle for a nice 9-to-5 job working for somebody else, because that's safe and familiar and comfortable. And this pattern just keeps on repeating itself. You write your request to the universe, the ego erases it. You write your request, the ego erases it, over and over again. And so this leaves you in a state of feeling powerless because you don't have the ability to maintain focus on your vision and see it at the exclusion of your current life circumstances. So the key is to be able to recognize that your current life circumstances have no more validity than any other reality that you're trying to manifest. So imagining what we want is always the easy part. But the real game changer is when you can develop the skill, and it is a skill, to be able to ignore your current life circumstances and remain in your chosen reality until it appears. That is when true manifestation begins. For me personally, one of the best ways of counteracting this issue of always doubting my desires has been by having a deep understanding of the mechanics of the law of attraction. Most people have a basic understanding of how the law of attraction works, but what many people don't have any concept of is why the law of attraction works in the way that it does. And the true power is really in the why. So let's take a bird's eye view for a moment and try to see things from the highest reality. Because whenever you can see things from the highest possible perspective, the result is always an unwavering faith, gratitude, and empowerment. So let's consider the question: why does the law of attraction exist in the first place? What is the basic purpose of law of attraction at its core? The simplest definition of the law of attraction is simply this: you desiring to experience yourself. Before anything began, there was the one infinite creator. This creator is pure, infinite intelligence without limitation, and you existed inside of this infinite intelligence as one aspect of its essential nature. But because the one is pure existence, pure, infinite, intelligent energy, it has no form. Contrary to what religion has told us, God is not a bearded man up in the sky. God has no name and no form. The source cannot be described or defined because any name or form is merely an appearance inside of it. God simply is. The only positive statement we can actually make about the source is that it is itself. Beyond that, nothing we say can be absolutely correct, because any statement you make about God is a finite concept. And God is always beyond anything that can be conceptualized. But you are the immediate extension of the source, exploring and expressing itself. And so you are both finite and infinite at the same time. Outwardly, there are some limitations to this physical form, but inwardly, there are no limitations. You can never come to the end of yourself because there's always an experience of you beyond what you're currently experiencing, and there always will be. So in that way, we are the proverbial snake eating its own tail, forever exploring but never arriving at a conclusion, because God is infinite, and infinity has no end or beginning. So the next question is, how would an infinite, intelligent, formless creator ever be able to know or experience what it is like? It would obviously need to create some kind of medium through which to explore itself. And that medium is what we call the universe. We are currently inside of the most spectacular virtual reality simulator that could ever exist. We know through quantum mechanics that everything we see is not what it appears to be. What we call matter is actually just particles of light entangled together, creating the illusion of solid objects when viewed at a distance. But it is all just the one creator playing within itself. So think of the universe as the most epic video game that could possibly be created. It is a game that allows for billions of players to all have complete free will to create their own reality as they see fit, without infringing or stealing from one another. There is no actual lack in the game except for that which the player projects themselves. So if the game's going to be able to support this many players who all have free will without infringement, what would the rule set need to be? How would the architect of the game need to design it? The first mechanical aspect of this virtual reality game that we call the universe is that every possible reality or level to this game exists simultaneously. When a video game designer creates a video game, they actually construct every level to the game within one giant field. To the player who goes from level to level, it appears as if he is moving through different realities as he beats each level of the game. But if he could zoom out far enough, he would actually see that it's more like a Monopoly board where all the levels are existing side by side all the time. The player can only experience one level at a time, but from the highest perspective, the game is finished. All of creation is already complete, which means that every parallel universe coexists simultaneously. And this brings me to my first main point, which is that in the law of attraction, you ironically never actually attract anything to yourself. From a metaphysical perspective, what you actually do is shift through parallel realities which always exist. So it never actually comes to you, you actually go to it, because it's always been there waiting for you. And you are shifting through parallel realities billions of times per second, which is why you can't actually tell that you are. In the same way that when you watch a movie, you're actually just watching 30 still frames per second. But when it's sped up fast enough, it appears like something is really firmly happening. But the end of the movie you're watching already exists at the end of the movie strip, just as much as the segment of the movie you're watching now. Everything already exists. So consciousness changes the experience it is having by shifting its frequency. Just like a radio station, consciousness tunes its frequency to the exact parallel reality that it wants to experience and then immediately travels there. And again, you are doing this billions of times per second based on whatever you are currently perceiving. So your body and your mind plug consciousness into this reality, and every moment that you are perceiving your own thoughts, feelings, actions, and environment, you then experience the parallel reality where that exact configuration of energy exists. So the moment that you imagine it, the source places it within your timeline. So if you want it to become a part of your movie strip, so to speak, then you just have to start seeing that reality first. Otherwise, the reality that you're currently seeing will just continue to replicate itself over and over again. Remember, perception is creation. So the less significance you can give to your current life circumstances that you don't enjoy, then the more powerfully you'll be able to see and imagine the reality you wish to experience. If we go back to the analogy of the Monopoly board, let's suppose that this Monopoly piece is you and this square is your current life circumstance. If you wanted to get from this square to that square, then you don't need to proceed through every single square on the board in order to get there. You can just go straight to the square that you want. When you play by the rules of the game, which represent the normal human perception of reality, then you cannot create your life because you're bound by the rules of the game. But if you can see the game from the highest perspective, then you realize that you can just pick up your piece and move it right to the square that you want. Your consciousness is never bound by the limitations of your mind and body. It is never trapped in any specific reality. Imagination is the vehicle that allows consciousness to travel from one reality to the next. So by feeling and imagining the realities we desire, we place our consciousness in them. And since this whole virtual reality game is about you experiencing yourself, then whatever you ask for is always given, because you are the only thing you can ever actually experience. So the end is actually where you begin. If you want to feel what something would be like, you can go inside yourself and feel it right now. If you want to doubt that something is possible, you can feel that too. You always have exactly what you desire because you are infinity experiencing itself, which means that everything you want is already inside of you. You can always go inward directly to the place of your desire and experience it immediately. But here's the caveat. What you actually want is never what you say that you want. For example, maybe you're in the position of desiring a new career because the one you're currently in doesn't satisfy you. In that position, it is important to realize that it is not actually the new career that you really want, but it is the essence that the career brings you. What you really want is happiness and fulfillment. And so if that new job suddenly made you feel horrible, you wouldn't want the job anymore. So you always actually want the essence and not the symbol, because the essence is always an aspect of who you actually are. And this is where the law of attraction operates. The law of attraction never actually brings you the symbol or object of your desire, because from the universe's perspective, all objects are just smoke and mirrors. What the law of attraction actually brings you is the essence that the symbol represents to you. The symbol is just a byproduct of the essence that you truly want, and the essence is always within you. So the new job that you want is actually just a symbol that represents an aspect of who you truly are. That new relationship that you want so badly is actually just a symbol that represents the love that you actually are. So if you want that new job, career, or relationship, then you have to first go within yourself and experience it in the place where it already exists. Every time you tune into the essence first within yourself, then the universe places the material reflection of that essence within your life. When I first moved back home to California a few years ago after college, I had been working as a personal trainer for a couple years already. My best friend's girlfriend was working at Google at the time, and he began to tell me about all of the amazing benefits that Google has. Free on-campus food every day, micro kitchens in every building, amazing pay, open clients list, great benefits, the list went on and on. So I said to myself, wow, that's where I want to work. My friend proceeded to tell me that it's almost impossible for a trainer to get in at Google because you have to know somebody first, and secondly, they rarely have openings because all the trainers stay there for so long because it's such a great job. But I decided not to let that deter me because I'd been using law of attraction for a couple years already. So what I did was, in the meantime, got myself a job training at Stanford, and I began to wake up every morning before I would go to work and feel as if I was going to work at Google. Now, after just 1 month of doing this, a guy came into my gym one day and we sort of hit it off right away and started training together. Now, he told me that he worked at Google as a performance coach. I asked him if he could get me in at Google, and he said, well, it's really hard to get people in at Google, but I'll ask around for you. After a few more weeks went by, my friend came up to me at the gym and said, hey, I heard that they're looking for a new CrossFit coach at Google, but the girl who runs the program has a few candidates she already knows, so I can put your name in and we can see if you stand any chance at getting the job. And I said, yeah, let's do it. So he connected me with the girl who runs the CrossFit program, and lo and behold, it was a girl who I had actually sold my couch to when I moved to college 3 years prior. And she said to me, hey, I remember you. You were that guy who sold me that couch a few years ago. How you been doing? Good to see you again. So she set up an interview, everything went great, and she gave me the job that day. I could hardly believe that it happened that quickly because this was my dream job as a trainer. And every day since that day, for the last 3.5 years, I've woken up every single morning feeling excited and grateful to go to work. So if I had woken up every day believing I was going to work at Stanford rather than Google, then I could not have attracted those synchronicities into my field and acquired my dream job. But by waking up every day and ignoring the fact that I was currently employed at Stanford and feeling and imagining that I was about to go to work at Google, the universe quickly gave me that chosen reality. So I say all that to say this: the end is actually where you begin. True manifestation always begins with the result first and works backwards. Whatever it is that excites you the most is that which is most available to you. So simply continue to place your consciousness in that reality by feeling the essence that you want to experience. Be in the fulfillment of your desire. Because if you can form a resolute conviction that the thing you desire has already been completed, then you can literally manifest anything that you ask for. In Mark 11:24, Jesus said, "Truly I say to you, whatever things you ask for in prayer, believe you have already received it, and it shall be yours." So if you want it, you must see it now. Nothing will appear to you out there until you first experience it in here. So if you can see it, you can have it, because the end is always where you begin.